unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Oh, we bless your holy name. Oh, Jesus, be glorified today. Oh, you are worthy, Lord. Oh, you are worthy, Lord. Come on, sing, worthy is the Lamb. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquers the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Come on, sing it out. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Yeah. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy, worthy, worthy. Oh, this is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Oh, we sing your praise for all that you've done for me. This is amazing grace. Sing it out. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I would be set free. Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Oh, we're so thankful for all you've done, Lord. And I count on one thing. The same God that never fails will not fail me now. You won't fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never late is working all things out. You're working all things out. Oh yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Oh yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Oh yes, I will. And I count on one thing. The same God nothing can stand against, and I choose to praise, to glorify, glorify the name of our name. Nothing can stand against. Yes, I will. Oh, yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Oh, yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my day. of sin. The power of sin is broken. Jesus overcame it all. Oh yeah. Do you believe that this morning? Come on, sing it. He has won our freedom. Jesus, you've won it all. Oh, you won it all. Come on, shout it. Hallelujah. Come on. Hallelujah. You have won the victory. Yes, you have, Jesus. Hallelujah. You have won it all for me. Death could not hold you down. You are the risen King, seated in majesty. You are the risen King. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. You have won the victory. Whoa. Hallelujah. You have won it all for me. Come on, keep singing hallelujah. Hallelujah. You have won the victory. Hallelujah. You have won it all for me. And death could not hold you down. You are the risen King, seated in majesty. You are the risen King. You are the risen King. Come on, this morning, right where you are, just take a minute, just talk to the Lord this morning. Come on, just begin to thank Him for that sacrifice. Begin to thank Him for His blood shed. It washes us clean. Come on, whatever mountain is in your way, whatever Goliath you're facing this morning. Oh. He's already overcome. He is already overcome. Oh, you've already won. Jesus, you have won the victory. No matter what my eyes may see, I know you've won the victory. Oh. No matter what my We are weary of living this life just for us. Oh, forgive us of seeking your hand and not your face. Come and empty us, Father, we're desperate in this place. Holy Spirit, fill us with your fire. Give us your desire. Hold us close to you. Holy Spirit, give us revelation, a healing visitation. Nothing else will do. 'Cause we want more and more and more and more of you. You have given us so much more than we deserve. You deliver us by the power of your word. God, we lift you up, giving you the honor that is yours. Thank you for your love, Father, this is what we're living for. Holy Spirit, fill us with your fire. Give us your desire. Hold us close to you. Holy Spirit, give us revelation, a healing visitation. Nothing else will do. 'Cause we want more and more, more and more. And all the love that covers us. Oh, the Savior's mercy. Oh, the blood that makes a spotless bride. Oh, the love that covers us. And oh, the Savior's mercy. Oh, the blood that makes a spotless bride. Holy Spirit, fill us with your fire. Give us your desires. Hold us close to you. Holy Spirit, give us revelation, healing visitation. Nothing else will do.
Let's sing that again. Holy Spirit, sing it.
Holy Spirit, fill us with your fire. Give us your desire. Hold us close to you.
Make that your prayer this morning.
Holy Spirit, give us revelation, a healing visitation. Nothing else will do.
Keep singing, Holy Spirit.
Holy Spirit, fill us with your fire.
Extraordinary men and women went before us with unmatched resilience. Enduring hardship, when called upon to defend and liberate, they said yes. They found courage to rise with every sun, loyalty toward their country, discipline for every command, even in the darkest hours. They said yes. They cherished and fought for freedom, so those coming behind them were assured of it. And when the moment came for them to give it all, their futures never to be written, they said yes. Today we think upon their sacrifice and find our way to honor them, saying yes to making the most of what they gave us and filling the earth with God's goodness. We thank them for their yes. They will never be forgotten.
Veterans Memorial Park contains monuments honoring all branches of the military services. In the clearings between the shade trees, you will find these memorials citing the wars and conflicts that have taken the lives of soldiers for over 100 years. This park has a version of the Vietnam Wall just for our regional heroes. Embossed on this slab of stone is the name of one of my younger brothers. In 1970, he took a solitary stand against an approaching enemy. He knew full well that he would not survive, but his action allowed 8 other soldiers to escape to safety. He did not see his Purple Heart or his Bronze Star that was presented to our mother. To me, Memorial Day is for him and tens of thousands like him.
Hey, good morning, CLC. Hey, obviously we are not in the sanctuary this morning, but we are preaching in the park. I'm around the corner from the church at Memorial Park, and hey, this is a great little park right around the corner here on Faux-Follet. And I'm surrounded by memorials this morning here on Memorial Day weekend. I couldn't think of a better place to come and just share a quick word of encouragement for you, and also give honor for what this weekend really is about. And it's about those, of course, who gave their lives, ultimate sacrifice in protecting our freedom. So today we take a moment and remember the sacrifices of those who gave their life in service to this great country. 2 years ago, I had an opportunity to attend a ceremony here in remembrance of a young man, Lance Corporal Trahan. And Ron Crowley, a member of our congregation, just led a beautiful ceremony as they presented that family with a Purple Heart in recognition of the ultimate sacrifice of their son. It was in October of 1983 that Lance Corporal Trahan was a Marine, along with 221 other Marines there in the barrack in Beirut, Lebanon. 21 other additional service personnel were sleeping that night when a terrorist, a coward if I can say that, loaded a vehicle with the equivalent of 12,000 pounds of TNT and drove it into the barrack, destroying the barrack and taking the lives of all of those brave men. That afternoon, 2 years ago, we gathered here in one of the memorials just right over my shoulder to the left there. As you can see that. And as the family gathered, it was very moving as that mom received that Purple Heart. And it was a great reminder that we take so many things in this life for granted. The freedoms that we have, even to travel, and we have felt that those freedoms have been somewhat under attack or have been compromised over the last few weeks. And I really feel like this weekend is a wake-up call, not just for us as Americans to wake up out of our slumber, our normal daily routine of life, of just living from weekend to weekend, but to pause and take a look at the blessings that God has placed around us and the blessings that God has given us, and to remember those who have paid the price for us to enjoy those freedoms and blessings as well. I never had the opportunity to meet Lance Corporal Trahan, but I can't afford to forget him either, nor forget all of those brave men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice so that we can live in an incredible country. And I know those freedoms have felt like they have been challenged lately, but nevertheless, we still live in the greatest country that has ever existed. And not only to him, but all of those who gave their lives for the freedom that we celebrate today. One quote says that the flag does not move by the wind, but the flag moves, or it flies with the last breath of each soldier who died protecting it. They gave their lives so that we have the right to pursue this freedom as citizens of this great country, and for that we are ever indebted. But there's also another that died for us. Another that died so that we could experience a liberty and a freedom that we've never experienced before. A life free from sin, a life free from past condemnation. Jesus said, I have come that you may have life and that you may have it more abundantly. I want to ask you this question. Are you surviving or are you thriving? Are you just existing, or are you living the life that God has for you to live? That question will make you stop and think. That question will wake you up out of your rut. That question will shake you from slumber. That question will allow you to look into your future and ask yourself, is this the future that I want? What if I told you that God has a plan and a purpose for you that would blow your mind, that would exceed anything that you've ever dreamed for yourself? When I think of the sacrifices of the men who gave their lives for a greater purpose, and I consider the sacrifice of loving God that gave his life on purpose as well, then that causes me to conclude that there's a purpose for my life. So I ask you this morning, what purpose is propelling you? Maybe you're a believer and you just feel like, hey, I've been drifting, going through the motions. I didn't realize how important church was to me until we couldn't gather anymore, and then I had to watch online. Or perhaps you celebrated a God behind walls or in a box on Sundays, but you never had a Monday relationship to go with your attendance on Sunday. It was the idea of a God that maybe your spouse went and you went with the spouse. Maybe you took the kids so they could go to Sunday school and you just attended as a good citizen, as a good parent. And it never dawned on you that the God that you went to visit inside of a box is a God bigger than that box, and he desires to come home with you. Or maybe you're watching right now. Or maybe you're watching right now and you know there has to be more, but you haven't found it yet. You found everything but the right thing, or if I could say it like this, you found everything but the God thing. And that's what God desires for you to find in life. Jeremiah says this. In Jeremiah 29:11, God tells his people this. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. But verse 12 continues and says, then you will call on me and come and pray to me. I will listen to you. Did you hear what he said? God will listen to you. Verse 13 says, you will seek me and you will find me when you seek me with all of your heart. I wanted to take just this moment this morning to encourage you. pause and give thanks for those who gave the ultimate sacrifice, for you to have the freedom to even to be able to tune in and watch this service this morning. Pause and thank God. You may not can see it right now, but God's got a plan for your life that's bigger than what you thought possible. God's not through. The last chapter has not been penned, but God's ready to turn over a new chapter for you to begin a new day. And I just believe that today can be that day for you. I know next Sunday we're going to gather again. Next Sunday is Pentecost Sunday, and I'm excited about that, our 10 o'clock service and our 11:15 service. And we're going to be worshiping together, but I believe that God can do a work in your life right now. I believe that those plans that God has for you does not have to wait till next Sunday to begin, that right now that we can pray together, and that seed of hope and expectancy can grow in your life and bring fruit like you've never thought possible. Can we just pray together right now? Lord, I just thank you for this opportunity as we gather here in this park. Lord, what a beautiful day that you've created for us. I thank you, God, for the sacrifices of the brave men and women who laid down their life for us, that we would have the opportunity to gather here today and celebrate this freedom that we have. And Lord, I thank you for the sacrifice of the cross. You didn't have to, God. You paid a price that you didn't know, because we paid a price. We owed a price that we couldn't pay. And God, I just pray for those that are watching right now. God, as your word stirs us, as the worship has led us into your presence, and as your word stirs us today, God, Lord, I pray let calluses begin to fall from eyes. Let hearts begin to open today, God. I pray release the dreamers to dream again, God. Release the warriors to fight again, God. Release the intercessors to pray again. And Lord, increase our faith so that we can believe again. That we will no longer take the freedoms that we hold for granted. And God, let us move forward from this day forward with a fresh purpose, with a new plan, pursuing after you, God. Hey, I want to encourage you this morning. If you need prayer, would you click the link in the top here on Facebook? And whatever the prayer may be, whatever the need may be, hey, just type it in there and we'll respond to you as soon as possible. I want you to know that you're not walking this by yourself. I want you to know that the battle is not too great. And I want you to know that there is a church family here in Lafayette that's been praying for you. And we can't wait to meet you in person. I want to encourage you also, church family, would you call the church phone or email at clclafayette.com and let us know which service you'll be attending next week, whether the 10 o'clock or the 11:15 service. And it's going to be a great time as we gather to worship together again. Hey, enjoy your family this weekend. And as you gather around the grill and enjoy seeing each other again as these restrictions begin to be lifted, don't forget the sacrifices, the brave men and women who gave the ultimate price. And don't forget the love of God, that God chased you down just to remind you today, as we gather here in this park, that God has not forgotten you. Lord bless you, church family. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for taking time to drop in and worship with us this morning. And I pray that you've been blessed and encouraged. And I look forward to seeing you next Sunday.
Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace.
Amen.
Children, and their may his favor be upon you in 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children. May his presence go before you, and behind you, and beside you, all around you, and within you. He is with you, he is with you, in the morning, in the evening, in your coming, and your going, in your weeping, and rejoicing. He is for you, he is for you. May his presence go before you, and behind you, and beside you, all around you, and within you. He is with you, he is with you, in the morning, in the evening, in your coming, and your going, in your weeping, and rejoicing. He is for you, 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 he is for you. Amen. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children. Oh, may his presence go before you, and behind you, and beside you, all around you, and within you. He is with in the morning, in the morning, in the evening, in your coming, wash over you today. Oh, 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 Jesus, you have conquered death and you have given us life. Just wash over us with your life today.